The Interpreters Theatre production of Home is Where Your Dog Is displays the nationwide issue of homelessness in a creative and eye-opening way. The piece was conceived, written, and directed by Jorge de Leon.
Well, this show is it is about homelessness. It's centered around a narrative that I had originally written for a performance studies class last spring. My professor liked it so much, he kind of pulled me aside after class and said I needed to continue the work. I ended up doing a qualitative study in another class that continued it, and I did interviews with actual homeless people in the Cedar Valley, and that actually helped to inspire a lot of the characters in this show. So it's centered around homelessness, and it's centered around one main character whose name is Rusty, and he's kind of searching for his dog the entire time.
The characters in the production each represent different types of homeless people. The characters representing the homeless population range from an Army veteran, a prostitute, an ex-businessman, and the main character, Rusty. Actor Sean Knapp took extreme measures in getting to know his character.
During spring break, I just went on the streets. I left my cell phone, wallet. I hadn't eaten breakfast that day, so I was hungry. I needed money to feed myself, and I just panhandled the streets of Des Moines. And I did that for, I think, about 3.5 hours until a police officer starts walking, and he kind of keeps looking at me. And at that point, I'm like, I don't want to go to jail, so I'm just going to get up and go walk home at that point. But it was a really good experience because you get to learn how tough it is where you have to rely on someone else. And I'm not normally someone, I rely on myself and that's it. I can take care of myself. But when you have nothing, it's a tough thing, and it really helps with Rusty's character a lot, I believe.
I asked Jorge, what would he like audiences to take away from his production?
I want them to think about homelessness differently. I'm not necessarily trying to persuade an audience any one way, simply to just think about it differently as far as circumstance and opportunity and the opportunities that people have. You know, we tend to say that, homelessness is a lifestyle choice, and I think that's an outdated mantra, because when we really look at the research and the studies, there's a lot of circumstances in which people don't really have the choice to end up where they did. You find that there's a lot of different reasons why people go homelessness. I mean, you're talking about sexual assault, abuse, rape. You're talking about war veterans that suffer from PTSD, people who are clinically insane, circumstances that occur people financially and economically that they didn't really have control over, and sometimes, the numbers that we talk in terms of homelessness are temporary, right? But you have people who are constantly filling that void. We are donating to the Hospitality House in Waterloo. I did some work there too, going there. What I liked about that particular place is that it's privately owned and it wasn't necessarily ran by the government. So there's a lot of red tape that they don't necessarily have to go through, which makes it easier to communicate. It was easier to get things accomplished, and easier to talk with the director who works there and things like that, and get some information from her. And I thought that would be, just a neat opportunity to kind of make this a little bit bigger than just, my show, and kind of a thing for the community as well, which I think the Interpreters Theatre kind of represents.
For UNI TV, this is Rob Bauer.
A dog will just love you. I mean, if you don't, a dog will love you. And so if you can find something to love you when you've got nothing else, I feel like that's a super important thing that you have to hold on to.